This is another week of a little chat and a little media recap of what I've been listening to and watching and reading this week. Yeah, it's been a good week. It's getting warm again here in Florida, so it's nice. I enjoy it. I am sick today, so that's why I don't have any makeup on. So this might be a little bit quicker than the last one, but we'll see. We'll see what I get talking about. These little chatting and just doing content has been keeping me busy at the minute, so it's been nice. Yeah, I have been feeling a little stressed out recently over different things, so yeah, it's nice to just have a little something to chat about and, just have some time to myself to yap to a camera. And I've been enjoying learning how to work like audio and stuff, because using this new microphone. So yeah, it's been fun. But yeah, I like I mentioned, I am sick. I've got an earache, and like my sinuses are kind of stuffed up, but I'll be okay. I'm probably just gonna get straight into the media diary and what I watched and listened to and stuff this week. Like I mentioned in the last video, I'm not necessarily challenging myself to do all the stuff that I was previously, because I found it very overwhelming, and it got to a point where I didn't really have time to do other stuff that I enjoy, such as like sewing and stuff. So yeah, I'm gonna get into what I have done over this last week. So this was the week Monday the 10th of March. I watched the video essay Google Doesn't Work Anymore by Pinely. He's a pretty cool YouTuber. I've been watching his stuff for a while now. His second channel is very casual, and he uploads on there a lot more often than he does on his regular channel. But when he uploads on his regular channel, it's usually a pretty long video, so it's always fun. And it's basically, this video essay was just about how a lot of the results that you're getting on Google now is it's all AI. And it can be very frustrating when Google used to be so straight and you'd be able to find answers pretty quickly. And it's just the problem with, especially like the images portion of Google, is you can search for something and the majority be AI images, or when you're just doing a general search, it'll come up with that AI response instead of just a genuine response. And a lot of times that AI response is like sourced its answer from places like Reddit, which, can have like jerk answers. So yeah, it's not the best. Check out the video, it's good. I'll link it down below like I usually do with the video essays that I watch. I watched the new Hulu docuseries that they released on the 8 Passengers vlog family and Ruby Frankie. This was a really sad documentary. It was very heartbreaking to see how these children were treated. Family vloggers I really dislike family vloggers. I dislike really showing children on social media full stop. But yeah, this was a 3-part series on like the whole story of it. So like episode 1 was on the YouTube career, episode 2 was after they got cancelled for the first time, when it got found out that they'd taken their son's bed away, or bedroom away or something. I remember being on YouTube when that happened and being shocked about it. And then episode 3 was about the whole crime investigation and them eventually going to prison for their crimes. Yeah, it's a good documentary, but it is very sad, so I would recommend watching it if you prepared for those sort of topics. Like, it is a very sad documentary, but at least she is in prison now. I started reading a new book called We Have Always Lived in the Castle by Shirley Jackson. As previously mentioned in a couple of videos back, I was reading a book called Monster She Wrote, The Women Who Pioneered Horror and Speculative Fiction, and this book was recommended and the author was spoken about in this book. So I did want to check it out. I do struggle with fiction, and I always have. Like, fiction books have just been something that I've not been too interested in, or just never really grabbed me, because I seem to struggle to visualize the images in the book in my head. So sometimes it just feels like I'm reading a bunch of words and not really fully understanding what's happening. That's why I much prefer non-fiction books, because then it's like I'm learning something. I thought I would give fiction another chance, so I picked up this book. I also picked up another, but I haven't started reading it yet, based on the recommendations of the past book that I read. So yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. I'm about between 20 and 30 pages through, and it's about, I think it's like a 140 page book, so I should be able to get through it pretty easily. But yeah, I'm enjoying it so far, and it's interesting. It's the first time I've properly sat down and read a fiction book in a while. So yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. On the 11th of March, Tuesday, I listened to Lady Gaga's new album, Mayhem. Now, I know a lot of people really enjoyed this album, but I'm gonna be honest, I didn't really enjoy it that much. To me, it felt quite bland. There wasn't many songs that were too memorable to me. And I do really enjoy Lady Gaga's music. So it was good, like it was enjoyable, but it just wasn't a very memorable album. And maybe upon a second listen, there would be songs that would jump out at me then, but upon my first listen, I just didn't really enjoy anything. On this day, I watched a video by the YouTuber Lee Speaks. I played Bad Girly Games So You Don't Have To, DS and Wii. Being a girl who grew up in the 2000s and enjoyed playing games, a lot of games that were marketed towards girls were a lot of shovelware and interesting, let's say, games. So this video, she basically just goes through all these different type of games that got released and rates them on a scale, if they're good, if they're bad, if they're just brain dead shovelware that isn't even a game. So yeah, this was a really fun video. I really enjoyed it, and like her content really like speaks to me. And I remember playing a lot of these games when I was younger, so it's fun to see other people talking about them and remembering them. And yeah, but Style Savvy isn't a shovelware game, but Style Savvy is still like one of the best games ever to be released ever. It was called Style Boutique back in England, but I still love that game. Me and my husband and our friend went to go see Mickey 17 by Bong Joon-ho on this day, and I really, really liked this movie. It was fun. Yeah, this movie was fun. A lot of people, I saw people talking online about it because I think people didn't really like it because of how on the nose the politics of this movie was, but that was part of the movie that I actually really enjoyed. Yeah, it just follows. I got some notes about it. One thing about Mickey 17 is that I saw a lot of comparisons with the story of Mickey himself and the TV show Severance, in the same way that in this movie, because he's expendable and he gets printed out over and over again for these experiments and just to die essentially, he wasn't necessarily seen as a human. He was seen as like something else. He was seen as more of a tool of the people in power to be able to do these things to him. Like in Severance, how the innies are seen as a tool to just work. They're not seen as people when they are a whole nother person compared to their outie. So yeah, that was interesting. It also comments on how like unskilled labourers are forced into undesirable jobs that they don't get paid very much for. You know, there's like idolization of the senator, who is like a copy of the current president. Like the working class are punished when they don't act according to how the higher ups want them to act. So yeah, it's a very like on the nose political class struggle commentary with fun sci-fi elements. I haven't spoke about this yet, but the whole idea is that a spaceship lands on a planet to colonize this planet, but there's a native species already living there and they don't speak any human language, and they're very different to the humans, but they're still sentient, intelligent beings. but the higher-ups on the ship propagandize them to tell the people that they're dangerous and, like, they'll try and eat you, but it turns out they don't. So, that's the whole thing. Not to spoil it too much, but I thought it was a really fun movie, and the part about it being on the nose wasn't necessarily too bad of a thing for me. Like I mentioned, I think it's good because, yeah, nobody seems to have media literacy nowadays. So it's good that movies are just telling people what the message is so it can't be misconstrued. I rated it for 4 out of 5 stars. On the 12th of March, which was a Wednesday, I had like a podcast day. So I listened to A Bit Fruity with Matt Bernstein, The Tragedy of Grimes, and In Bed with the Right, episode 62, AI Slop, and the New Fascist Aesthetic with Ronald Meyer. These were both really good podcasts. I think I was editing my last video on this day, so I was listening to podcasts while I was doing that. And yeah, both of them are good. Not much to say really. They're exactly what the titles sound like. Just in depth of both Grimes and why she is the way she is, her history, how she ended up with Elon Musk, and how it's kind of disappointing that she's one of the headliners for World Pride, I think, this year. And then the AI Slop, In Bed with the Right AI Slop, is basically just about how everything, AI is gross and everything is getting, like, there's just stuff that is AI, like you go into an antique shop and it looks like it's old art and stuff, but it's AI. You can tell by slight differences. But on the flip side of the AI talk, a lot of people can't seem to tell the difference between CGI and AI at the minute, which is kind of weird. Like, if a new movie trailer comes out and it has CG or anything that looks kind of bad, instantly people are like, it's AI, which it's not necessarily. So we need to stop that, and we need more legislation on AI, and it all just needs to stop. On Thursday the 13th, I listened to a new album. It was called by Berry Blue. This was the first time I'd ever heard of this artist, and I really enjoyed the music. The album I've listened to a couple of times since, and I've listened to a few songs from it. And I really enjoyed it. I added like the whole album essentially to my like regular playlist that I listen to. And yeah, there was a lot of songs that were fun, it was girly, it was cute. So yeah, definitely give it a listen to. Even though I really enjoyed a lot of songs, I did only give it 3 stars because a lot of the songs kind of sounded the same. They all kind of like meld into one, but it's a short album and the songs are short, so that's not necessarily something that bothers me too much. The video essay, I watched a video essay that was an unhinged deep dive into BookTok tropes. BookTok is something that's like crazy, and ever since getting back into books, me and my husband like talk about it all the time, because BookTok tropes are... BookTok is unfortunate, because if you're just trying to get good book recommendations, a lot of times when you just search it, you're gonna run into like a lot of romance novels, some of those ones that aren't necessarily like written too well, or are like kind of like AI slop. When I'm not a fan probably at all of no romance novels, just because, yeah, I don't even have a reason. I'm just not a fan of romance novels. We watched Severance season 2 episode 9. If you know, Severance actually comes out on Thursday evening at 9 p.m. So yeah, we're keeping up with Severance. I'm so excited for the season finale this week. But this one was kind of like a theme of rebellion for all of the characters. Like, Cobell is working against Lumen now. She's with Mark Devon. Milchek, told his higher ups to eat shit. Dylan quit which basically means his innie is dead, which is crazy. So yeah, I love Severance a lot, and yeah, I'm very much looking forward to this last episode. And who knows, I might do a full Severance deep dive, whatever, at some point. On this day, I read some of Kinky History by Esme Louise James, which I picked up last month, I believe, and I haven't actually read for a while. There's been a pretty big gap in between the last time I read and now. But I really like this book. It's fun. It's very similar to my favourite book of all time, The Curious History of Sex by Kate Lister. So yeah, this is fun. I enjoy learning about sex history and kink history because humans have always been freaky little weirdos, so it's fun to learn about this. And I also read some more of We Have Always Lived in the Castle by Shirley Jackson. Again, what I said on the previous day is that I am really enjoying this book, despite the fact that this is the first fiction book that I've read in quite a while. So yeah, I'm excited to get to the end. I'm excited to get deeper into what's going on with this book. It's very interesting. And also on Thursday, me and my husband picked up Yakuza Like a Dragon again. We started playing this perhaps 2 years ago. This was before we lived together and were married, so this was when we were, like, visiting each other. So we could only play it for, like, a little bit at a time, and then we'd have to not be able to play it because we lived thousands of miles away. So it's fun to finally get back into it, but that being said, going straight back into it on our save after basically a year of not playing it was like so confusing to understand what was going on and like what we were doing and where the story was at and remembering what had happened previously in the story. But we're getting there, we're having fun with it. And I'm excited to play the other games after this because I do really enjoy this game. So yeah, I'm glad we picked it up again. On Friday the 14th, I watched a few different videos. I watched Online Culture is Distorted Art, Perception of Clothing by Katie Robinson. This was based on how people need to feel like they need to have an abundance of clothes and how there's both a problem with people having too many clothes and have a problem with clothing poverty in the West, and how it's strange that both these problems can exist at the same time. It was a good video. I wanted to talk about this a little bit. I will talk about this a little bit more depth in a bit, but I've really been getting back into like fashion content, especially on YouTube. And especially like sustainable fashion content. I've always been a thrifter anyway, and I make a lot of clothes. I hand make a lot of my clothes. But I'm just being getting more interested in sustainable fashion practices and watching more videos on how people DIY their clothes, how people treat their clothes, sustainable brands, thrift hauls. But there's like a problem with people who buy a lot of clothes as they think, oh, we can just donate it to Goodwill, to the thrift shop. When a lot of the times, thrift shops are now putting up their prices, which isn't the fault of the workers in the thrift shop, it's a corporate thing. So please be nice to your thrift shop workers. And I'm saying this from personal experience of working in a charity shop. But when these clothes or these items don't necessarily sell in a certain amount of time, because they're constantly getting new products donated to them, a lot of these clothes end up in landfills or just being thrown away and not used. So please look into like different ways to recycle your clothes. There's charities who don't necessarily sell the clothes, but they'll give them away to people for free. So yeah, look into these and just think about when you're purchasing your clothes, think about the sustainability of it, and if you're gonna have these pieces for years to come, or if it's just a trend and you're gonna be over it within a couple of months. On the same fashion sphere, I watched Accessorizing for Dummies, Are You Having a Hard Time Picking Your Accessories by Unproductive Bestie. So I enjoy watching these kinds of videos, even though I don't necessarily need the advice. I'm very happy with my accessorizing and how I accessorize. And like the rings and the necklaces I wear, I've acquired them over time. So these are jewelry that I can wear all the time. They won't turn my skin grey. But it's just fun to see other people's perspectives on these ideas, and who knows, when you watch these videos you might get new ideas, you might find stuff interesting. So I still enjoy watching these videos of like how-tos and advice, even though I don't necessarily feel as though I need it as much. And then I did listen to a podcast this day, which was a new podcast I've been listening to. I'm not sure if I've mentioned it before, but it's called Weird Little Guys, and this episode was Apartheid International, and it was about a woman from apartheid South Africa who basically was a terrorist and did all these bad things, but I think she somehow turned up in America 10 years later. It was a very strange podcast, but it was interesting. And yeah, I'm enjoying this little Weird Guys podcast. It just talks about a lot of men, mostly men on the right, who are absolutely insane. Okay, and I am going to talk about something I watched at the weekend now, because this is actually going to segment into a little chat I wanted to have about this. So on Sunday, me and my husband went for an early morning showing of The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie directed by Peter Brown Gart. So, just like this says, it is a Looney Tunes movie. And if you don't know about me, is that I am a hardcore early American animation history nerd, buff, and 2D animation is the love of my life. I love cartoons, I love animation. So seeing this trailer, when I saw this trailer for a new Looney Tunes movie in 2024 that was all 2D animation, I was so excited. And this movie, to me personally, lived up to my expectations. I absolutely loved it. It was silly. It was everything that Looney Tunes encompasses. It was a beautiful homage to the Looney Tunes of old. But saying that, this movie, I believe, has been in theaters for a week. It is Tuesday the 18th today when I'm filming this. This movie is getting pulled out of theaters tomorrow, Wednesday the 19th. Which I have a massive problem with. A lot of the discourse that you see online about films at the minute is that there's nothing new. Everything's the same. Everything's a reboot. But yet when these new movies come out of new stories or interesting things, people aren't going to see them. Like, this was interesting because this was the first ever full feature-length Looney Tunes movie that was just animated. Obviously you have Space Jam, you have Looney Tunes Back in Time, but this was the first fully animated one, and it has been in theaters for a week, and it's now getting pulled because nobody is going to see it. Which is a shame, because this movie was so funny. It wasn't just a kids movie, it was definitely a movie that everyone can enjoy. When we went to go see it, me and my husband, it was, I think there was like 6 people in the theatre, including us, and I believe they were all over the age of 16. So it's just disappointing that people aren't willing to give these films a chance, and they're getting pulled from theaters so quickly. And yeah, but I give this movie 4.5 stars out of 5 because it really did feel like a great homage to early Looney Tunes, like Looney Tunes history, I did take some notes. This movie had highly detailed cutaway scenes, like in old cartoons, very similar to old SpongeBob cartoons, or Ren and Stimpy, or old Looney Tunes, which you don't necessarily see in a lot of cartoons or animated films now, which I really love, and is something that you can only really do with 2D animation. It's not as easy to do something like that with 3D animation, in my opinion. Again, it had modern humor, which I felt like it mixed in perfectly with the old kind of humor, and it wasn't too forced. There was like one scene where Daffy Duck becomes an influencer, and he just starts twerking, and then he gets cancelled, and that was like probably the only scene where I sort of rolled my eyes a little bit, but still then, it was kind of funny. Like, he wasn't an influence for very long before he was cancelled. The movie had a strong message that really, like, shone through. It wasn't something you were, like, questioning. Like, the whole movie was about sticking together as friends through thick and thin, and that you're gonna fight, you're gonna have times when you don't want to be friends, but it's important to stick with your friends. There was a cool scene, I would say in the middle of the movie, where it really paid, like, homage to the Looney Tunes boom of, I believe, the early 1950s. There was a point in animation history where, because Disney has always been king, basically, but there was a point when everyone started to get TVs in their homes that Looney Tunes became quite popular and could even be seen as more popular than Disney, because they were the first animations to be getting put directly onto people's TV screens. And there was a cute little homage in that animation style to that boom, I would say. But yeah, it was a really fun movie, but I did want to have a little discussion about Looney Tunes and about cartoons and my love for 2D animation. So, Looney Tunes started in the 1930s, and was basically a direct competitor to Disney's Silly Symphonies. You can tell by the name. A lot of people think it's Looney Tunes, Toons, but it's not, it's Tunes. A lot of animation back then was heavily inspired by music. It was a lot easier to put your animation to music than it was to have voice acting. Silly Symphonies was huge, but Silly Symphonies was like classical music. Looney Tunes was created in order to showcase music that was created by Warner. It's Warner Brothers Looney Tunes. Looney Tunes were made by Warner Brothers. Alongside Looney Tunes, they did make Merry Melodies, but Merry Melodies didn't have these recurring characters, so they didn't have like Porky Pig, Daffy Duck. It would just be one-shots, with minor characters. Bugs Bunny did originally come from a Merry Melodies animation, but became so popular that they wanted to include him in the reoccurring Looney Tunes shots. As you can see, like, I'm interested in the history of animation, and 2D animation is something that you don't see too often in 2025. So I feel like it's a real shame that this movie did not get more people seeing it as I believed it should have, but I'm also very thankful that I had the chance to go see it before it got taken out of theaters. And yeah, it's a shame, but that's just what's happening with modern moviegoers at the minute. They don't want to see it. People aren't as interested in this type of stuff as I am. So, yeah, it's a shame. But we'll hopefully, I don't know if we'll ever have another 2D animation boom. I understand how it's cheaper to create these 3D animations, but I feel like the art of 2D animation is just getting lost, and it used to be something where every frame would be something you could pause and it would be a work of art, but it's just not something you see these days, and people seem to have lost their appreciation for it. So it's a shame, but again, I'm glad I got to see this movie, and I assume that since it is getting taken out of since it is getting taken out of theaters, it will be coming to streaming eventually, and if you haven't seen it, please give it a watch on streaming. It's hilarious, it's well made, and yeah, it's giving 2D animation a new voice in 2025. So these last 2 points I wanted to touch on are a little bit more personal to me. Just a little chat, nothing too in depth, but I really want to go thrift shopping. I haven't been to the thrift store in a while, probably for a few months actually at this point, but the last time I went, I found like 3 gems in one Goodwill. So I do want to go thrift shopping again, but we just haven't had the chance to. I can't drive yet, so I can't exactly just like take myself there. I need to wait until my husband is able to. Yeah, I really want to go thrift shopping. I'm hoping we can go this weekend. I'm not in the lookout for anything like particularly. Maybe some nice like button down shirts I would be interested in. I don't really need anything, like, I make my own skirts most of the time, and I don't really need any more graphic t-shirts or anything like that, so maybe, like, a cute button-down, but I just always enjoy going to the thrift. I enjoy looking at knickknacks. Maybe there'll be some fabric there, who knows, but that links in with me getting back into fashion content on YouTube. I just love seeing how the girlies are doing it. As someone who is very into dressing up when when I go to the park or I go to the Disney parks. I love seeing outfit inspiration. I love seeing what people are doing. I love trying to be more sustainable with my fashion choices. So yeah, I've been enjoying watching girls talk about clothes, talk about fashion, not specifically even like haul outfits, like thrift haul outfits, or like styling videos. I've been enjoying learning about different aspects of fashion, like the sustainability or different brands. So yeah, I just feel like it's been a while since I've watched this kind of content and I've been enjoying it. So who knows, I might throw my hat in the ring and try and do it for myself. But yeah, I think that's really all I wanted to talk on. But yeah, sorry for this being a slightly shorter video than my last one. Like I say, I got earache, I'm sick. But yeah, thank you for watching. Please give this video a like and subscribe if you enjoyed my yap session. Comment down below with things you think I should check out, like YouTubers, movies, TV shows, music, podcasts, books. I really would appreciate some suggestions. And yeah, check out my other social medias linked below, and don't forget to check out the YouTube videos I mentioned, also linked below. And yeah, that should be everything. I will see you guys in the next one. Have a good week. Bye-bye.